The town of Ongerup in Western Australia's southern wheat belt is in one of the state's largest grain-growing regions. But in a field just outside of town, a new kind of farming is taking root.
We're confident that this location is a good site for a wind farm. It's good wind, and the wind in this area offers a level of diversity to the current installed capacity of wind in Western Australia, which is mostly north of Perth.
Vestas, one of the largest manufacturers of wind turbines in the world, is planning to build a 70-turbine wind farm on the outskirts of town.
The team from ART, or Australian Radio Towers, have been here installing a meteorological mast, which enables us to capture detailed wind information. This is sort of like a second stage wind assessment. It means that we've got a reasonable level of confidence on a project because it's a step-up investment to put a met mast in.
The town 400 kilometres southeast of Perth is the latest farming community earmarked for development as the state pushes to achieve net zero emissions by 2050.
The West Australian Government did quite a lot of analysis over the last couple of years through Energy Policy WA, looking at where, if they were going to build out more renewables in the state, where are the best places to go? And the southwest was identified as that area.
The development of wind farms has been hastened by the projected 2029 closure of the state-owned Collie coal-fired power plant.
That's going to be sort of 3,000 to 4,000 megawatts out of the system by 2030, and then growing to almost double that to 2040. So we've got to find new sites in WA for wind and solar that will help support that transition away from coal.
Already half a dozen developers have projects in the pipeline that would see more than 1,000 turbines built across the south of WA, turning the southern grain belt into a new energy corridor. They'll reshape the landscape.
Putting up large wind turbines in these regions, they will be visible from any vantage point.
100 kilometres west of Ongerup, around the town of Kojonup, that change is already underway. Stage 1 of the Flat Rocks wind farm is coming online. Fourth-generation farmers, the Thorns, were key stakeholders in the wind farm's development.
The idea was sown from Vestas came through originally looking for a site for a new wind farm, and they were tossing up whether to put one here or up north, and they ended up choosing one up north. But it kind of sowed the seed. The more we sort of talked about it, the more it made sense with farming, really.
For each turbine, landholders can be paid upwards of $40,000 a year.
It's a guaranteed income, which is a bit, it's future-proofing bad years in farming, and that's one of the biggest risks with farming, are the fluctuations in the seasons and, the cash flow issues that we can sometimes run into.
The profit made from each turbine more than makes up for the land lost.
The return that we get from leasing the turbines for the area that it actually takes up, I haven't done the exact figures, but back of the envelope stuff it's way more profitable than running sheep or crop on that exact same area.
Energy analysts say it's developments like these backed by commercial customers looking to green up their operations that have contributed to the spike in development. The power being generated here has been sold to Australian mining giant BHP, while Stage 2 has already been purchased by the state's water utility, the Water Corporation, as part of its push towards renewable energy. But not everyone in the community is as enthusiastic about the change.
There are a number of turbines that are 200 metres from our boundaries. It's just poor planning to do that.
And how far are the turbines from your home where we're sitting now?
The closest is sort of 1.4, and of the 4 that are on our boundary, the furthest is 2 kilometres.
Like the Thorns, Ian Palmer's family have farmed the land in and around Kojonup for generations. It's one of the country's oldest sheep-producing regions, but he has seen his share of change.
The biggest changes for us here has probably been in the cropping sphere and changing from total cultivation before cropping to no-till. I think that's one of the greatest innovations.
But the latest change is worrying him.
It's necessary for us to decarbonise power generation. But if we're going to have these wind farms popping up all over the country, it needs to be done properly. Here, it has split the community. You know, it's so unfortunate that that's happened.
There's concern throughout the wheat belt. The Shire of Wagen, 1 hour north, is one of 4 shires being considered for a mammoth 100,000 hectare, 400 turbine wind farm. Its developer, Acciona, says it would be the largest wind farm outside of mainland China. Philip Blight is president of the local shire.
We're not against the proposal. Let's look at it pragmatically. We need the energy. We know there's a hard-pushed government policy to head in that direction. I'm not sure how many people agree with that policy. In fact, in this area, I think probably most don't. But if that's a government policy that we can't alter, what we have to do is look at how we can best manage the outcome. The questions are around setbacks, boundaries. So those who will have towers on their place versus those who won't. The setbacks need to accommodate the neighbours, and they need to be very sympathetic of the neighbours because those neighbours have rights, quite simply.
Some shires have developed policies to provide equitable development. But in March last year, the state government implemented its significant development pathway policy, which allows developers to lodge applications directly with it.
The reason that's been done is simple, is that we understand that wind farms can be complex issues. There can be competing rights among different property owners, and often this can be challenging for local governments. So for small local governments to assess major wind farms can actually challenge their capacity. So there is potential for wind farms to go through a central process of the WA Planning Commission, which actually brings all the all the different agencies together to tackle issues around wind farms.
Mr. Blight said the pathway ignores local government.
At a local government forum in my shire recently, the answer was we will go to the state development, which means again, local government is just sidestepped.
The head of the Institute of Energy Transition at Curtin University says involving regional communities in planning helps ensure fair development.
State government obviously has a role to play, but so too do the shires, because I think in most of my observations here in WA, the shire councils are very well respected within the community.
That includes looking at what new industries can bring to the country.
I think for regional Australia, it's a real opportunity, and then what comes with that? A lot of people are buying in to make cooperatives to keep the pub alive. You know, what do we do? Does it bring a supermarket? Does it bring a hairdresser or, you know, construction, whichever it might be? There will be some pain, and there's always contention in change, but if we can guarantee that people's lifestyles will pretty much stay the same, their livelihoods will not be affected too much, I think that that's the beauty of it.
But for some who've made their living off farming, the change may be too much.
I've got to the end of my farming life, and I feel that I've been extremely lucky and farmed through the best time to do that in this area. The thought of having that many turbines is incredibly worrying in a way, because it's just the unknown of what might be the end result. I'm in no position to be able to predict exactly how that looks in 20 years if they are built.